Hello and welcome back to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you're here during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242. Visit us at our website, NolanFinancialPartners.com. And while at our website, click on the radio page. Check out our past shows. Subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. Today, we're going to be talking about planning for women. Like many people, you might wonder, why just women? Don't men and women mostly have the same retirement planning needs? And the answer to that is, well, sort of, but not so much really. Today's show is not just for women. It's also for men who want to make sure that their spouses are taken care of if they die first. So there's a lot of great things that can help you with your spouse if you pay attention. Okay. Here's what you need to know most likely. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, who always takes care of his wife.
Oh, well, yeah. And wow. Let me get this straight, Chris. You're starting off today's show by reminding me that I'm going to die before my wife.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
And probably 6 years before she dies.
Probably 6 years. And then if you're like me, I'm older than my wife, so it's going to be a long time. My wife's going to live probably 15 to 20 years past me.
You know, I am convinced that Tara, and our listeners and viewers know Tara Nolan, your partner in business and your partner in marriage there. Your spouse is going to outlive us all. And anyone listening, no matter your current age, Tara will outlive you. Even those 20-somethings out there, I got news for you. I don't see her slowing down or stopping at any given time.
No, she's always moving. And her grandmothers both live past 90. Her mom's probably gonna live past 95. So I wouldn't be surprised if she reaches 100.
Yeah. She's going strong. Yeah. And women do, all the studies show when women outlive men typically. So it is important to note that. So I imagine that's one of your points right there. Women have to spend more time in retirement, so they're going to need more money, yet they have more roadblocks or a little tougher hill to climb, so to speak, than men do. And so, I know a lot of people are my age, I should say, have seen maybe their mother or grandmother face retirement challenges that are unique to women, right?
Right. And so because women live longer, typically life expectancy is now over 79 years and men's like 73 and a half. But when we do planning factors, we add 10 to that easy, because a lot of that what draws life expectancy down is cancer, and maybe some kind of thing that's part of their genetic makeup, right? And so because of those things, we have to plan for more. So that is a lot more income you have to plan for in retirement, because you're going to live so much longer. And then once that man dies, you might lose that person's pension income. The social security benefits are going to go down to one. Now you're going to get whichever one is the higher. So like if Tara happens to die before me, I'll get her social security because she's made more money than I have. But it goes the other way. If the man in the marriage has worked a higher paying job for longer, then that's going to be a higher social security, and that's going to come to the spouse. But then the one that you have is going to go away. So you're going to go down to one. So that's a very important thing to note when you're planning for your retirement income for your whole life, right? So the longer you live, you're also going to have additional health care needs, possibility of long-term care. and that can have a huge impact on finances.
Yeah, I mean, people are living longer. And when you think about longevity and that time horizon you're going to have, and then the complexities that come with funding that long-term care. And we've talked about that
All
before in the
right.
show, but there's a reason we keep bringing it up is because it's something a lot of people aren't properly planning for or prepared for, right?
That's right. And it's one of the biggest issues for families to have to deal with if you've got a long-term care situation with a family member, and then that's going to start to fall to maybe the kids
Yeah,
to pay that bill if the money's not there,
that's
and
me.
and right, and then that now they've got a house payment that they weren't planning on having, and
Yeah.
that's what the cost of it is like having another house payment, and
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah. Or worse. We
or
were
worse.
talking before the show. I mean, you have someone a loved one in a nice memory care facility. It can cost up to
Yeah.
$12,000 a month.
Yeah, memory
So,
care adds about half
yeah.
to long-term care because of the extra attention that has to happen, because people with memory issues, they really can't do anything for themselves.
No.
They just don't really understand what's
They
going
need
on.
24-hour care, and
That's right.
that's tough. Well, and the thing is what I like to say. The good news is we're living longer.
Yes.
The bad news is we're living longer. Yeah.
That's right. And women are usually going to outlive their spouses, so they're going to be the one that has to. Everything's going to fall to them at some point, and so that's what we've seen. We've got a lot of widow clients
Yeah.
or clients that have divorced late in life because they're like, I didn't realize how much this guy was holding me back in life. They're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This guy's a jerk.
Have you been
All of a sudden,
talking to my wife?
well, they hit retirement and they don't want to live together anymore. I'm like, what happened? It's
That's
like,
weird.
that guy's a jerk. I'm around him more. I don't like him.
Oh, that's too bad. Hopefully that doesn't happen all the time. I know that's not going to happen
I've got
for you and
I have
Tara or
three
for
clients.
Sarah and I. Yeah.
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 So for whatever reason, women need to have more education about retirement and uh, how they're going to manage their finances in retirement. And so, in the traditional style of family, a lot of times the man is the one focusing on retirement funds and making sure that those are there, and so the ladies have not gotten involved, and so we really need them to get involved. We need them to
Yeah.
start educate themselves through books and through articles and magazines, things like that. Come into a financial services professional and just have a chat, you know, do something to start to have a perspective about what you have, how that can work for you in retirement, and then where all that money is going to come from to do the things you need it to do. What are all the things in retirement that you're going to have to account for, and then where's that money going to come from? Do you know the account numbers for where the money is? Do you know how to access that money? All those kind of things need to be addressed.
Yeah, and
Um,
communication when it comes to all that is key, and I know
yeah,
that's something that you and Tara help your clients with and help them do and put a plan in place. You even have tools that you
that's
utilize to
right.
help your clients where the information can be in one secure location and get everybody on the same page. So really quick, before we move on, and we've got a lot to talk about
All right.
regarding women's retirement planning needs, how can our listeners get a hold of you and set up that it's a no charge, there's no obligation, leave
Yep,
your
that's right.
checkbook at home. They can get you have a couple of meetings, you get a plan in place and talk about whether you want to do this moving forward. If this makes sense for you, great, but they need a plan in place. How can they get a hold of you?
So they can reach us at 719-210-4242. give us a call there and we'll set up that complimentary consultations. That's 719-210-4242. Go check us out online at our website, NolanFinancialPartners.com.
All
So
right.
one of the other things that for women is a lot of them have are still experiencing the wage gap. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I,
Oh, yeah. Very
I did.
much so.
I didn't know that till I was reading an article that we still have a wage gap of 83%. Now that's a lot better than it was in the early 2000s. I think it was like at 70%.
The
So
reason you and I didn't know that is because our wives make about 10 times more than we do. I mean,
yeah,
General Nolan there, General Tara Nolan, she's
but they put in the work.
that's right. That's right. You and I are recording radio shows. Where are our wives right now? Well,
Yeah,
mine's working in Africa, and Tara's probably off saving the world
she's
too.
she's figuring out her plans for her next trip to Germany. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah,
So yeah, so it all depends, right? Everybody's got a unique structure, and
sure.
so that's why having an actual financial service professional can help people because you get something just for you. It's not out of a book that is made for a lot of people.
It's not
Not
cookie cutter.
not cookie cutter. Cookie cutter advice is the wrong advice, my
It
friend.
is. When it comes to finances, everybody's situation is different.
So unique.
Yeah.
Everybody's so unique.
It's
Yeah.
more unique than a fingerprint.
Yes. Well, and then there was another study that talks about women in investing, right? So women in investing, they're less confident about investing and they focus on taking care of bills, paying off loans, and making sure that they don't have debt and those kind of things. And they put off investing for retirement. And that's not how you invest for retirement. Because of the way investing for retirement works, time is on your side if you start now, right? Or if you started 20 years ago. So don't wait until everything is done to start investing money for retirement. Um, do it now or do it 20 years ago, but now works too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like I always say, best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, 20 years ago. Second best time to plant a tree today. So yeah, that's important.
Well, and one of the other things I found about the women that come to us is they do want to really learn, and so when they start learning about finances, they just gobble the information up, and they understand it, and then they start to apply it, and they outperform the men when they are investing because they've taken the time to learn it and understand it and be engaged with it.
Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
saying I should let Sarah take over all the finances and investing at this point, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure you're gonna be able to get her to do that. Uh, but
No, we're
but
in it together. We do those things together. We approach them together. We learned that lesson long ago. So,
nice.
but it sounds like this episode. It sounds like it's another episode of why don't men ask for directions, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And so men will overhear things in conversations,
yeah,
the water cooler type conversations or sitting in front of if you're a pilot sitting in front of a cockpit and people are talking about things and you overhear things. Oh yeah, I should do that. And they just think they should do that because they overheard it somewhere.
yeah.
They
Or
overheard
some
it on
talking
phone.
head on
Yeah.
TV says, "Oh man, you got to do
Yeah.
this. This is a great investment." I mean,
Well,
you don't get hot stock tips from people on TV, and I'm not going to name
no.
names, Jim Cramer, but the
Well, and stock tips from guys that like they're at Shark Tank, they have their little
yeah,
stock tip things.
yeah,
That one guy that I remember, these people have lots of expendable income, right?
sure,
They don't have to worry about food, housing, any of those things. All that's
yeah,
covered.
and they can take risk. To them,
Yeah.
$5 million is like $5 to you and I. So they can,
Right.
are you willing to risk $5 to quintuple your money? You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, I'd be willing to risk $5 if I thought I could if there's even a chance I could, get 10 times back. But
Right.
that's what they're looking at with 5 million. So you can't even, it's crazy to look at what they're saying because you can't take
Yes.
that kind of risk, obviously.
No.
I mean,
No.
the average person. I mean, those are billionaires, right? I mean, Mark
But
Cuban just sold a basketball team. He bought it for a few $100,000. I forget what it
yeah,
was, like 800,000 or not 1,000,000.
when it was
He
cheap.
bought it for,
Yeah.
yeah, it was cheap, maybe 300 million even. I forget what the buying
Right.
price. I think it was 3 or 6, and then he sold it for like billions. So
Yeah.
the profits he made on that were outrageous, right?
Outrageous. Not to say, not to, he also had income off of it the whole time, right? Because it
Right. He
made
also
money.
made it. He made money, and I think there's a lot of cost involved. So he may not be making as much money as some people think. Where they really make money with those sports teams is when they sell. Of course, that's because it's crazy how much in value it went up in the short time. Really, I mean, relatively short speaking, he made a lot of money on that deal. And
Yeah.
I'm not disparaging that at all.
No.
I think it's great. These are smart business guys.
Smart
But I
business
mean,
guys.
for the average person to say, wow, he's rich, I should listen to what he does. It's like, no.
I should buy a sports team.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, hey, if you've got the money and can get the investors, maybe you should. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it now. I mean, yeah, people see that and they think, I'll buy a team now and I'll make that much money. Well, what if they don't go up in value like they used to? I mean,
Right.
he hit it when it's right, and these guys, a lot of them get lucky. So
Sports teams were so cheap to buy in the 80s because they weren't doing well.
right.
And
And
so,
even into the 90s,
yeah,
even in
early
the
90s.
90s, a lot of sports teams were not doing well. The NBA was really struggling at the point where viewership was low, ad revenues had dropped, and he
Yeah.
bought a team because he wanted to own a team. And smart. I mean, now he cashed
Yeah.
in, that's smart. He bought low and sold high, but the average investor, the you and I's of the world, Chris, the
We panic
90,
and we sell when
yeah,
the market's down.
I forget the stat. It's crazy. Like 92% of all people buy high and sell low
Yep.
when it comes to the market. It's
Yeah.
like, it's unbelievable, right? And it's
Right.
just those other, it's the 5%ers that are only buying low and only buying high.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
So, let's get back to our topic, women.
Sorry. Yeah.
And so
Women
one of
know a
the
lot
things
about investing, or they can do better if they
they
do learn about it,
they
right?
do, and so the thing that they really need to focus on is participating in a retirement plan or an IRA. So, even if you don't have an income, if your spouse does, you can open up a personal IRA or a personal Roth, as long as his income is more than $15,000 a year, right? So you can open up a retirement plan even if you don't work. Okay. There's some spousal rules where you can do that. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of that. A lot of people don't know that. I actually have some clients that their spouse works just so they can put money into personal retirement plan. I don't tell them any different. I'm what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I don't want to let the chickens out of the hen house for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So but if they're listening to the show now, they know you can contribute without working.
Oh,
So
that's good.
so in this vein of things, you need to make retirement planning a priority. By starting that, you'll start to learn, right? Um, Now, here's some of the biggest common regrets that we've heard is not being involved in the retirement planning process with the spouse or partner. When they have a meeting, come in with them. we always invite the entire family.
Yeah.
It's not, and I say
Yeah.
entire family, sometimes the kids come too. It's
Yeah.
fine,
But
you know?
the
We'll
women
bring in
out
more
there
chairs.
should not stay at home and let their spouse handle it, and the men
No,
shouldn't do that either. If you're in if you have a spouse or a partner, you've got to come in together. You've got to communicate and learn
that's right.
together and both be equally involved, or you're going to run into problems, aren't you?
Right, and then so that in that meeting with your financial services provider or your professional, you will, start to learn things, and then you can have that conversation together with a third party there so that you have somebody to help kinda referee that discussion, and nobody's gonna try and dominate the other or do things like that. So that it becomes some counseling sometimes when people find out what's going on with the finances, but that's okay. We can work through it, and we have with so many couples, and they've gotten to better agreements on money, and it really has strengthened a lot of partnerships, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a really good point that you make there. And, participate in the process,
Yep.
work with a financial services professional like yourself. Don't be afraid to ask questions and don't wait until your debt is paid off before you start saving for retirement. Right.
Right.
You've said
That's
that
right.
before many times on the show. Don't wait. You think, well, I've got to pay down this debt first. I can't pay anything toward retirement. I mean,
No.
like you say, paying off debt is important, but you've got to start saving for retirement. And one of the things I like best about
Hmm.
working with a financial professional and you and Tara is that you tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. And what you're doing isn't based on emotion, right?
No. Right. That's right. So we need to take emotion a little bit out of the equation. Not that we're going to take it all out, but we need to look at it from a little bit higher perspective, and so that we can make sure that everybody's taken care of. So we need to figure out how to best protect our spouses, right? Whatever the surviving spouse is, we need to make sure that whatever income loss is going to happen when somebody leaves the partnership, how is the surviving spouse going to be taken care of? So
Yeah, it's not a cheery
what's going to
topic.
provide? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
terrible topic.
And that's why nobody plans for it, or because they don't want to think about it, they put it off. But you have to plan for the eventual loss of one of the spouses, what's going to happen. And that typically is the woman, but whether it's a woman or man, like you say, but typically women are left without their spouse. So you have to plan for that, right?
You have to plan for that. You've got to make sure that if retirement pensions are going to go away, how is that surviving spouse going to manage that? One of the Social Security payouts is going to go away. So here's a good tip: is maybe whoever has the higher earnings in Social Security is going to get the most money out of Social Security. Wait until age 70 to claim it. That way you get the biggest value coming out of Social Security that you can, so the surviving spouse will get that Social Security, and that can help make up for losses in other places.
Yeah, there you go. And so a lot of Social Security planning comes into it. There are spousal benefits and strategies that can be used,
Right.
and that can help with the loss of a spouse because you're going to lose one of those Social Security payments.
Yep.
If a spouse passes, but you want to be able to keep the higher of the two, and you want to make sure whoever has the ability can maximize that payment so it's larger, right? You don't want to leave your
That's right.
spouse with a small Social Security payment. And that's really going to hurt. So, I mean, and you've noted that, today a spouse with less lifetime earnings
Mhm.
can claim Social Security through the higher earning spouse. Why don't you tell us just a little bit more about how that works?
So how that works is, when you reach full retirement age, that is kind of the bogey when we start talking about clients about where they should try to reach that. Because even if you're working, your Social Security can start to augment your income, and there won't be any extra taxes before you hit that age of full retirement. If you're still working, then your Social Security can get basically taken away from you through a tax situation. So make sure that you understand that. And so it behooves you to wait till full retirement age anyway. Now after that, so Social Security goes up by 8% every year you wait after full retirement age. So it's a really good thing to wait and get those extra funds after that full retirement age. Now, the lower earning spouse can start to take their Social Security, so that can help augment. Um, because then when you reach 70, that higher earning spouse should start to take it then, and that will usually provides the best overall outcome for your Social Security income in retirement. So some people say, well, yeah, but I'm going to die when I'm 75, and so I say, well, let's look at the Social Security curves. And so we have a calculator that will help you look at that and give you a good idea about where you should start to take that, where you can get the most out of it for your entire lifetime.
Yeah, and that's true. And you lock in an amount, and that's your amount for a lifetime. And there's really nothing you can do about that
No,
after you file. So that's where pre-planning comes in.
that's when pre-planning comes in. So that's when we start, okay, let's start pre-planning. Get all your financial papers together, right? Figure out uh, where all the money is, all the banks are, everything that has to do with money, subscriptions to places where money is going out. Have a must call list for all these things. Know who they are, what their phone number is, what the account number is.
Yeah.
If they have a website, write that in. If there's a login password, write that in, and make sure everybody knows where that list is. So we have a journal that can help you, prompt you to figure out where all that is, and it helps you open up that discussion. So we have that we can give to people. So it makes it a lot easier when you sit across from each other trying to put those together. If you got something that's prompting you with questions, I can tell you it's a lot easier discussion with spouses when you have those little promptings from a checklist or a journal like we have. Make sure you got those passwords are super important, so you can get in there and get access to funds that you need. Here's a big thing that we do with our clients is we make sure that the beneficiaries are up to date. Okay. Because sometimes, maybe your kids get older that were your original beneficiaries, and there's grandkids, and maybe you don't like your kids, but you love your grandkids. And so they want to change their beneficiaries, or maybe they've set up a trust, or maybe you have a charity that you want to add as beneficiaries, things like that. So make sure that you've got those updated, because sometimes the kids are, man, my kids don't need this money at all. I'm going to donate this to charity so they don't have to deal with it. And so they'll do that. All right. They'll donate a house to a church, and it happens. So the other part I mentioned was outgoing things. Those can be things like credit
Yeah.
cards, right? Everybody should, in the family, should know how to get access to those credit cards and pay those credit cards. A lot of people have turned off the uh, the bill that comes in the mail with credit cards, and
Right.
they've set up an automatic payment. But that automatic payment usually only pays the minimum payment. So if you
Your
don't know that,
interest is growing and growing and growing,
that's right.
and you don't see the statement. If you're not paying
No,
attention to the statement, you can miss things. So you definitely want to avoid that. That's for
that's
sure.
right. So these are the kind of things that we go over: reviewing wills and trusts, discussing funeral plans.
Yep.
All this is in
That's
our
important.
journal. Advanced directives. If you got a living will, make
Yeah.
sure that you know where that is.
Yeah.
And
Make it
then,
easy on your loved ones that are left. And in most cases, like we said, that's women. That's why we're talking about this. But you don't want to leave your loved ones in a bad situation. And you know what? We're out of time,
oh, wow.
Chris. It flew by. But I want you to let our listeners know how they can get a plan in place, or if they just have questions. I know you love sitting down and talking to people about these things, about what they can do for retirement income planning, what they can do for investment planning. Look at looking at tax burdens later on and minimizing that. There are a
Yes,
lot of strategies for women out there. You want to empower women in retirement. And I know you and
yes, I
Tara,
do.
that's a big passion of yours both. So how can our listeners get a hold of you?
So if you have any questions or concerns about what you might need for retirement, Social Security, or your financial strategy, please go out to our website, NolanFinancialPartners.com. Call our office at 719-210-4242. We can set up that personal complimentary consultation. That number is 719-210-4242. It's our goal to help you prepare for your retirement you've worked so hard for.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Great show. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio with our host, Chris McKinney.
Join us again next time for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio.